There was once a boy, not a weak boy, not at first. He ran through fields with fire in his blood, climbed trees like they were staircases to the gods. He spoke his mind without flinching, told the truth even when it stung. He laughed too loud, dared too much, and stared back at the world like it was prey. Then one day, someone told him to lower his voice. Be polite, they said. Be careful. Be nice. Be realistic. And so he did. He bit back his voice. He sat on his questions. He started smiling when he was uncomfortable. He started saying maybe when he meant no. And over time, he became smaller. Not physically, existentially. Years passed, and he forgot about the fire. Forgot how high the trees once seemed. He traded danger for decency. He called it growth, maturity, empathy. But it wasn't. It was something far darker. It was the moment a man forgets he was born to hunt lightning. And that boy is you. This isn't metaphor. It's memory. A memory you buried so deep that you've mistaken its absence for peace. But listen closely, because the moment you remember it, everything else in your life will begin to fracture. Because what you've been calling weakness, your hesitations, your fears, your indecision, they weren't born inside you. They were installed by repetition, by culture, by people who were terrified of your fire and taught you to be terrified of it too. So now I'm not here to motivate you, not here to make you feel good. I'm here to take a blade to the illusion that you were ever weak, that your softness is compassion, that your anxiety is wisdom, that your stillness is peace. Because it's not, it's conditioning, a mask, a narrative stitched by comfort and fear, and now it's time to tear it off. You didn't become weak, you were made into something palatable, piece by piece, smile by smile, apology by apology. It started small. You told a lie to keep the peace. You said yes when your gut screamed no. You let someone cross a boundary you didn't even know you had. And when your body flinched, they told you you're overreacting. So you learned to stop reacting, to be agreeable, to be easy. You learned that softness was rewarded, that stillness was safe, that silence got you love. But it wasn't love, it was approval. And approval is a drug, the kind that kills slow and silent, like carbon monoxide. You don't even realize you're dying, you just stop feeling alive. And now, you call this numbness peace. You call your paralysis compassion, you call your hesitation wisdom, but you know better. Deep down, there is something clawing at the inside of your rib cage. Something furious, something feral, something old. And it's not angry because you failed. It's angry because you forgot. You forgot who you were before the self-censorship, before the edits, before you started shrinking yourself to fit rooms that never deserved you. You weren't born to chase harmony. You were born to walk into chaos and remain unmoved, but instead, you wait. You wait for permission, for motivation, for someone to show up and say, yes, now you may begin, but no one is coming. No one is coming to save you, because the version of you that needed saving never actually existed. The world didn't break you. It seduced you with comfort, with likes, with soft expectations and soft living and soft men who told you that being sharp was being selfish, that wanting more was being ungrateful, that asserting yourself was violence, and you believed them. You swallowed the lie that strength is dangerous. You buried the truth that it's the only thing that was ever real. Because here's the terrifying part. Most people will live their entire lives without ever meeting who they truly are. They'll live as echoes, masks, algorithms of their environment, conditioned responses masquerading as personalities, and they'll die never realizing that who they were meant to become was buried alive the first time they said, I guess it's just easier if I stay quiet. You feel it, don't you? That quiet resentment, that gnawing, invisible ache, that voice that keeps saying, this isn't who I am, this isn't all I was made for. That voice is right. And Nietzsche knew it. He didn't write for the broken. He wrote for the buried. For the ones clawing their way out. For the ones who are finally done with their own excuses. Friedrich Nietzsche wasn't interested in fixing you. He wasn't writing for the fragile, the anxious, or the easily offended. He wrote for the beast beneath your skin. The part of you society tried to anesthetize with politeness and praise, because Nietzsche understood something most people can't stomach. You were not born to be good, you were born to be whole. And wholeness includes your darkness. You see, society has spent generations telling you that strength is brutality, that confidence is arrogance, that wanting more makes you greedy. So what did you do? You amputated parts of yourself. You trimmed your hunger to fit someone else's plate. You buried your ambition under layers of gratitude. You turned your rage inward and called it anxiety. But Nietzsche, he knew the real danger wasn't in your anger, it was in your domestication. He called it the sickness of the herd. This compulsive need to belong, to be accepted, to be good in the eyes of people who've never once met their own soul. The individual, Nietzsche wrote, has always had to struggle to keep from being overwhelmed by the tribe. If you try it, you will be lonely often and sometimes frightened. But no price is too high to pay for the privilege of owning yourself. Owning yourself, not renting your identity to trends, not borrowing your values from your parents, not diluting your truth for digital applause, but standing utterly alone, naked before your own values and saying, "This is who I am, and I would rather be hated for it than loved for a lie." Most people will never do that, because they've confused strength with aggression and weakness with virtue. But Nietzsche flipped that lie on its head. He said real weakness is an emotional expression. It's emotional submission. It's living a life built on fear, flinching from truth to preserve comfort. Real weakness is needing permission to say what you believe, outsourcing your value to people who don't value themselves, choosing peace over truth, calling your laziness self-care, calling your fear humility, calling your insecurity empathy. Weakness is not the absence of strength. It is the presence of self-betrayal. And here's the dark genius of modern life. It convinces you to betray yourself with a smile on your face. Your school taught you obedience. Your family taught you guilt. Your culture taught you that visibility is vulgar, that standing out is dangerous, that wanting more is selfish. Even the people who say they love you, most of them want you soft, compliant, non-threatening. Not because it's good for you, but because it's easier for them. So when you're humble, they cheer. When you're agreeable, they reward you. When you play small, they call it maturity. But all they're really doing is clapping for your burial. And if you don't fight it, you'll spend your life being praised for being someone you're not. But here's the part they never told you. The parts of you you've been suppressing. Your ambition, your rage, your clarity, your defiance. Those were never flaws. They were fragments of your original power. The blueprint of a sovereign being before it got rewritten. Nietzsche believed the goal wasn't to become better. It was to become more real, more raw, more aligned, more dangerous. Not dangerous in violence, but dangerous in truth. Dangerous to illusion. Dangerous to the fragile systems built on your compliance. He believed that the highest form of man wasn't the one who conformed, it was the one who created. Created himself from fire, not from inheritance. So now ask yourself, what have you been calling growth that's really just submission? What have you been labeling kindness that's actually fear? What parts of you have you buried because the tribe told you to? Because until you unearth them, until you confront the sharp, untamed parts of your nature, you will never feel whole. You'll be liked. You'll be accepted. You might even be applauded, but you will always feel that quiet emptiness, that hum of resentment vibrating under your skin. That's your soul asking, when did we stop fighting? Real power, Nietzschean power, isn't about dominance. It's about clarity, the kind of clarity that stops a room, that makes people pause when you speak. That makes them lean in, not because you yelled, but because you didn't flinch. So ask yourself, who are you without the need to be liked? Strip away the filters. Kill the performance. If no one needed you to be sweet, polite, quiet, who would you be? Most can't answer that, because most people don't have a self. They have a persona, a survival suit stitched from expectations. And Nietzsche despised that, because the moment you dilute your truth to fit the tribe, you've already handed them your spine. You feel that, don't you? That tension under the skin, that fatigue that sleep can't fix. That's not burnout, that's the price of self-abandonment. You weren't born for softness, you were born to feel everything and still choose. To command, not collapse. To respond, not react. Let's talk tactically. Weakness hides in your routines. You wake up and check your phone, you lost the day. You scroll before you build. You surrendered your direction. You speak in apologies and disclaimers. You're bleeding power. Nietzsche said, "He who cannot obey himself will be commanded." So reclaim your mornings. Before you check the screen, check your breath, check your posture. Remind yourself, you are not a consumer, you are a creator, a strategist, a builder of fire, and fire does not ask for permission to burn. Next, your speech. Watered down words are the camouflage of the weak. Every time you say maybe when you mean no, you fracture your spine. Speak clearly. Let your words slice, not scratch. If they call it rude, good. That's just the sound of power returning to your voice. You think strength is numbness? Wrong. Nietzsche didn't teach repression. He taught command. Feel everything, but own it. Don't collapse. Don't explain. Stare. Wait. And when you move, make it surgical. Emotion without awareness is chaos. Emotion under awareness, that's godlike. Stop saying, I'm just emotional. You're not. You're undisciplined. And discipline isn't cold. It's clean. Most people tell their story like a tragedy. Nietzsche called that the new slavery. Psychological victimhood, where you weaponize your wounds for sympathy, where you wait for rescue that will never come. Stop. You are not what happened to you. You are what you do with it. He who has a why to live can bear almost anyhow. But here's the secret. Your why isn't found. It's forged, chosen, carved into your days like sacred law, and once you choose it, weakness begins to rot because doubt dies in the face of direction. Decide now. What do you protect? What will you not tolerate for one more day? What truth are you finally ready to say out loud? If you don't choose, the world will choose for you, and their choice will be soft, diluted, and obedient. But yours can be something else entirely. You made it this far. That means one thing. You're not like the others. Most people click away when their weakness is touched. You didn't. That means something in you is waking up. Something raw, something primal, something ancient. Nietzsche didn't write about power to glorify it. He wrote to warn you, because power is terrifying, not because it corrupts, but because it reveals. It shows you who you truly are, and more importantly, who you could be if you stopped apologizing. So cast the skin, burn the script, speak the truth, stand alone, unshaken, because strength was never about becoming someone new. It was about remembering who the hell you were before the world convinced you to forget. This is The Thought Alchemist. Thank you so much for watching.